All right, August 27th, I believe, right, Chris?
If you say so.
Yes, August 27th from Justin to Cully. This is our wrap-up show here. Justin's still not here. Hopefully he's back soon. By the way, ending the show on a horrible note on my end. We'll get into it also fully in a couple seconds here, but did I come off at the end like I was placing blame on Justin when that's like everything I've tried not to do? Did I come off like that at the end?
No, I think you're in a tough spot. I mean, well, what do we say your blame pie was? How much was Justin?
So I gave myself 75%. You gave me 30 or something?
Yeah, I know, because it was 20 at first, but Kirk talked me up to 30.
Yeah,
right.
Kirk talked you. There's blame to go all around
Yeah.
for sure. Obviously, everybody saw the text. I'm confirming things that I never should have confirmed. I'm assuming things that I never should have assumed. We went through all that today. We actually we got the itemized invoice. A lot of people were saying we got to grab that, and we went through it in totality on the show today. So let's get your vibe on that. Just the invoice that the show received. You obviously the big number of $29K. What'd you think about the invoice that we received though?
It's wild. Like I spent a good chunk of my life in sales, looking at invoices, creating invoices. I don't know if I've ever seen an invoice that clearly laid out what his profit was.
Yep.
So maybe we're not, and that tells us, all right, maybe this guy, he might be, and he does. They do a good job. That was good food. They did 2 different events for KMS. Both times they come on time. They do a great job. They're friendly. They're good people. Maybe not the best business people in the world. It's a different skill set. And that invoice is ridiculous. So like, it just gives you leverage to be like, all right, you can, in theory, if you use them again, you could talk them down because you know exactly what their margin is.
Yeah, and I think just because of the way it all went down, there was just communication flaws in every facet, even on their end as well, right? I would think they would stop me I would like to think they would stop me on a dime and be like, okay, let me send over something quick, or hey, it's going to cost X per head in advance. Like something like that would have happened on their end too, but I don't want to go as far as that. I did see a lot of the tweets over the past week of kind of like blaming him. He didn't really do anything wrong. Like he got an opportunity and he pulled, at the end of the day, he pulled through. He did what he said he would do with technically, like in his eyes, and this was my problem the whole time, I'm thinking he's coming anyway, but the reality is like that deal got re-engaged when I got the number from Justin and reached out to him again 48 hours in advance. So it like started the deal from scratch, which I never knew was happening, but that's basically the way to look at it, right? I
don't know. I think the deals are, actually I look at it an entirely different way.
Yeah.
So this is the second time that they had done an event with KMS. So, to defend the caterer for a second, they probably like, in my life, when I've done my first sale with the customer, you really kind of make sure all the T's are crossed, the I's are dotted. You're really kind of going above and beyond. The second time, you have that familiarity. You have that understanding that, you've done business together already. I'm not saying you're casual about it, but you don't need to be as direct about every single element of it. So I got to defend him there, where he's probably like, all right, KMS paid X amount ahead the first time.
The last time in Madawaska. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
So, I mean, that changes the relationship a lot. So he's thinking like, oh, all right, like this is just another, this is a larger event, sure, but it's the same. Because I went to both events, and with the exception of the seafood, which was not at this event, the food was exactly the same.
Yep.
So I'm guessing he's just thinking, oh, just another job for these guys, but just at a larger scale.
Yep. No, that makes total sense. So we kind of went through that whole process. Obviously, we got a ton of reaction online through it, and kind of people placing blame left and right. I've said it from the beginning. I think Kirk's handling of this, there's probably nobody in the world that would handle a situation like that. I mean, putting it all out there, 1. 2, just immediately announcing the event to kind of make it whole. It's already, tickets are going, we're selling really well on the ticket front. So, and then we'll offer in hopefully different other things to bring value to it, to make the money back, which we've sold enough tickets to make the money back, but to make it more of an experience and to kind of blow it up from there. So Sacco 4 tickets, they are available on Barstool Sports. Go to MinuteFanHQ.com to get the link there as well. Anything else that we can touch on? I mean, we've done it. So we did it so much today on the show. I can't think of anything other behind the scenes aspect to the.
Well, I do, I guess. Yeah. Like, how did you? How did you think today was going to go?
Oh, I was like shaking, not necessarily shaking, but like I've been. Like I lost all confidence in myself this week, and I don't normally have, the issues that sometimes come up on the show, mental health and all that doesn't really affect me.
Yet.
But the anxiety and the, like disappointing other people, and I don't know, it just all hit me this week in a bad way. I mean, Monday's show started, like, you're on such a high after a live show that goes well, then you got the thrill ride thing, you get the shit kicked out of you, then all of a sudden this happened. So it was like the week from hell for me. It was funny, actually, my wife and I were talking about it last night. She just got promoted, and then here I am getting the fucking bag beat out of me, and I'm like, wow, this is a funny little contrast of what's happening in our lives right now. But I don't know, it was just behind the scenes, I was just a fucking wreck over the whole thing, because I just feel awful, and not just awful from specifically what happened, but I also feel like I could have done more to make sure that the situation didn't happen with Justin either. Like, I don't know. I felt bad for that last week when even the stage went wrong. I felt bad about that. So I've just been a wreck behind the scenes, to be. I'm not going to sugarcoat it in any way. So I definitely appreciate the perspective that kind of Kirk brought to the whole thing, because it's, I'm going to learn from it. I'm definitely still upset by it. I'm definitely going to make changes because of it, but I'm very appreciative of his handling of everything.
So do you feel better than you did, say, 3 hours ago?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I feel better just because just hearing his perspective and going through it a little bit more. And I can't really describe the feeling. I still don't feel great, but it's, we said it on the show. What can we do now, right? Like, now the only thing we can do is call the caterer and see what we can do on the price, and then just move on from it and put on a killer show and give 150 million% to that show and go from there. It's really all you can do.
You must have been very relieved when he sent you that clean slate text. It sounds like last night. That must have been.
I don't know. I mean,
no?
you get it, and I'm appreciative of it in the moment, but then it's like you're still, I don't know, and then you're still seeing like he's tweeting out like shit talk later in the day and stuff like that. So no, I don't know. It wasn't on him either, and I appreciate the clean slate, but I take a lot of personal accountability and stuff. So I said, like, I think I lost confidence in myself the last 72 hours. So it's, hopefully we can kind of grow from that experience, and at least Sacco 4 is like buttoned up to a T, and so, like I said on the show, if something happens to me, if I die driving home, you're picking it up, Chris, and I'll have my wife send the one sheet over to you.
Oh, good. Oh, wonderful.
It's all in there.
Wonderful.
So, yeah, so it's all in there. So.
We talked about it in the show at the end of the show, but is it the point now where you're like, how am I going to fuck up next week? Like, what are you going to do next?
It's never really on purpose. There's nothing really I can do about like the idea that I'm doing like backdoor deals with like Thrill Ride and Red 13. I still don't like. I don't really understand it.
Apparently.
Yeah, now the caterer. I still don't really understand it. I'm like accepting of the fact that he has that feeling, but all you can do there is time can hopefully just like fit. But that's been going on for 2 years. Not that we were in communication a lot that 2 years before I started here, but that's been going on since Red 13. He thought I was getting kickbacks and shit like that. So I don't think that's going anywhere, whether I like it or not. But.
So you feel a little better. So next week, a new week, it sounds like. Kirk's like clean slate, and you're ready to kind of get the new live show going. I'm super excited for. I mean, for me, honestly, and I think a lot of the fans I talk to, this week's been a huge loss for you. Huge, and for Kirk, $30,000. But for us, it's a huge win. We got a great week of content, and then on top of it, we're getting another live show. I'm super excited to go. Already got the hotel booked. Already got the ticket. Like, I'm amped up, ready to go.
Any pieces of advice for execution for Sacco 4 in the sense of like how the day? Obviously, let's take away the catering, let's take away the food, but like experience-wise, is there anything that could elevate it above Sacco 3?
I mean, I just love the camaraderie. Like everyone, and I know that guy called in, talking to like RA and RA was just busting my balls.
Yep.
But that's the fun. This group, we all get along. We all kind of give each other shit. It's all very playful. We all genuinely like each other. Yep. Like we all like the same podcast, but then I'm really happy. Everyone I see, I'm really happy to see because it's a fun group. It's a really good group of guys.
That was my first experience in that. And
what did you think?
It was just kind of a wild experience because you do like, just whether it's because of the YouTube network or whether it's because of people's, the picture on their Twitter account or whatever, like you're recognizing all these people. And it's funny how the ones that you assume are going to be together, like they actually were together. They weren't like nervous and on the other side of I don't know. It was a different experience, but you're right. It was like camaraderie all over the place. Everybody was having a good time. Literally no problems. I know there's one problem that we've referenced, but I don't have all the background to that. And it really doesn't seem like it was that. It didn't interfere with anything. It didn't cause a huge commotion. No. It just seemed like everybody had a good time. The weather was fantastic. So hopefully we can replicate that
honestly,
experience.
Yeah, like we don't need, Kirk was absolutely right. we don't hashtag Kirk was right, but we don't need a bounce house. We don't need, we also, on the other side, we don't need to have a live podcast playing. It's just fun seeing those group. And I'm really excited to see them again on October 2nd. It's going to be a really good time.
Yep.
I think the only thing for you is I think that was the funniest live show I've been to. But it was funny because, your videos were kind of a mess. And you were oh, that's why, but you can't obviously do that again. So I would recommend, I just Ward in the North. I mean, the guy is so talented. He makes great videos, makes great songs. Reach out to him. Yep. Reach out to Ted. Ted's a legitimately funny guy. There's other people in this world that I'm forgetting right now. I'm sorry, but Steve Zelaya guy, reach out to him. There's actually really talented people in this world. Have them take some of that creativity burden off your shoulders a little bit, because they can do some really funny. Now you're definitely gonna have to come up with a video, because now it's we have a precedent for it.
Oh yeah, sure.
But you can ask other people to do some funny stuff.
Yep. No, I totally agree, and I think we kind of went through that a little bit. I don't know if that was last week or whatever, but I was kind of thinking even that stuff was under the direction of Kirk, and that's another one.
It was less than you thought.
Yeah.
The only thing that was the Ted. I think they just gave the idea to Ted and Mike, and they executed it. But I did 2 videos. I had a blank slate.
Yep.
Barstool. There was a very funny video from Big Cat. There's a very funny video from Barstool Kate, believe it or not.
Yep.
And they had no direction. I think Steve was like, "Hey, just send a video over."
Yep.
And then it's I send the videos over when when they ask me. I'm always flattered to do it, whatever. And then I'm like, all right, well, maybe it's up there, maybe it won't be, but here you go.
Yeah.
And then it's just kind of out there. But if you might get 10 videos, maybe you use 5,
Yep.
and then you can put the other 5 on the YouTube as a fun pack or whatever.
Sure.
Just don't be afraid to ask for help from the creativity standpoint, because you have Minifans that are ready to do it, that are some pretty talented. Go listen to the Cullen episode, or I know Kirk scripted that, but I think the commercials were all. I know the commercial I did I wrote that.
Yep.
People have. I said, look at Warden's Twitter feed.
Yep.
There's talented people here.
No, I totally agree. So I read that situation wrong to some extent, obviously, and now kind of knowing what it is going forward, he put it in our hands. So now we're gonna do it hopefully the right way. So we'll see. I'm sure I'll come up with some videos on my own that will be an absolute train wreck, and maybe I'll do another. If you weren't there at the live show, it was a walk of shame. Dave's a pussy moment. That was just
so funny,
out of control, and it was literally. Somebody tweeted me or DM'd me and was like, "You ever seen that GIF with the guy who's hunched over walking and he's so sad?"
Yeah, from Arrested Development. George Michael.
That's what it was. That's right. Yeah, that was literally what happened. That was literally what happened at the live show. So
it was great. It was really fun. It was a great time. But I think you can definitely do some things differently there. But as far as the experience,
yeah.
I know baby Curtis want to hear this. The food was great, but whatever, get the food trucks. But just seeing everyone and I know you were there. I saw you kind of did a quick walk. I know you were busy, but you saw how you probably saw everyone had a huge smile on their face.
Oh, it was unbelievable. Yeah, everybody was happy. Everyone's in a good mood. Even with me if I was going from technical situation and walking back to the stage or whatever, people were just busting my balls as I walk away with a smile on their face. So it was fantastic, and that's kind of the bright side of all this thing is we get to do that again. And then maybe it's a message for the future where maybe it doesn't have to be a big live show like that, but maybe there are different things to get people together and have a good time like that in some other elements in the future as well.
I totally agree. And I think that's the one thing is I love these live shows. They're so much fun because these are people you don't get to see all the time necessarily. So to see them, it's always it's almost like a mini bizarre reunion in a way.
Yes,
we haven't seen them in a few months. It's super fun to get together. And we talk about revenue sources for this show, but that's another one. If you had even small dinners or whatever, I know you also don't want to get blood out of a stone. You don't want to beat a dead horse with it.
Yep.
But you can. There are a lot of ideas. Obviously, the T-shirts, you can sell those at the shows. But just having more live shows, even if just you did it, but it was organized through KMS. And, maybe 40 of us go.
Correct.
I would still like to see those other 39 people.
There's got to be some interactive things that we can pull off that can not just be money generators, but also it develops content for the show, hopefully, and all this stuff, stories that come out of it or whatever. So.
And I think that can be your strong suit. Like I said on air, and I meant it. Carano, I think, understands the show more than you do. He's listening the whole time. He's been involved. He's also just he just listened to every episode. But I think you do understand the fans better than him. And I think you should just tap into that and, use us more. Obviously, Kirk drives the show, but there's some extracurricular stuff that you could use fans for. Yeah,
for sure. So we'll wrap up Sacco talk there. If you want to give a final thought, just the only other big topic we went through today was the Ordway stuff. Ordway retiring. Jesus, like damn near 50 years, which is just wild to think about. And obviously he had different stints with WEEI. You had some memories of that you brought up on the show of Big O.
Yeah, just when I was a kid, 19, 18 years old in the late 90s, I would, it was appointment listening. It really, I know Kirk kind of downplayed a little bit, but yes, now it would feel old and antiquated. It would be a lame show now. But believe it or not, 1998, the Weiner line was awesome. It was really funny. There was nothing else like it. You would just get excited for it.
Yeah, I don't know. I almost think that's a little bit up for debate too, though, because I remember listening to the Big Show back in the day, and like he mentioned Steve Burton was on, right? Like Steve Burton goes on and he does these 30-second hits from Patriot Place before a Patriots game. You don't get to learn anything about his personality. You don't get to see him busting balls in any capacity. You see him on the Big Show and he puts his personality out there a little bit more. There's elements of that I think could still work today and make sense and all these different things. So I don't know if it would be a failure per se or be boring, because to be honest with you, like what sports radio shows out there right now aren't just all the same anyway at this point.
I mean, you're right. Yeah. And the thing that kind of sank them was like I remember the Boston Globe stopped letting people on, so then you couldn't have Shaughnessy on anymore.
Yep.
And then the guests just started to dwindle. Obviously, 98.5 also happened. So then it ended up, the Big Show was just basically Glenn, Fred Smirlis, and Steve Yossi, like every night.
Yep.
I was like, oh, why am I listening? Like,
why are we doing the same thing?
Even during baseball season, they have those guys on. It's like, I don't really care about their baseball. Like, what are we doing here?
Yep.
But when it was at its peak, 99, 2000, 2001, that was a great show.
Great show.
For its time. And maybe you're right. Maybe there is even a room for that now. But it was a really enjoyable show. And Glenn, I mean, obviously the Celtic stuff, a lot of that stuff predates me. I'm not really old enough to remember a lot of his play-by-play stuff. But what a career.
Yeah,
I mean,
what a career.
It was amazing.
What a career. He made so many Boston sports media talents, radio and otherwise. So congrats to him, and enjoy retirement. I know I think he's doing a podcast.
We're
so
still doing
the
Patriot
mix.
games too. Like
I think so. I don't know if he's gonna. Yeah, is he doing the pre-show or the post-show?
I don't know. Yeah, it's his retirement seemed kind of vague.
Yeah,
I don't understand what's happening. But I guess we'll find out.
50 years radio. That is insanity. So all right, we'll wrap it up there on what has been. I'm not gonna say. I think I told you before the show, not the worst week of my life. But I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm having a tough time, just like I have a tough time coming up with the last book I read. I'm having a tough time thinking of a worse week. Honestly, I don't know I don't have like any really adversity. Nobody in my family's like died or anything. I'm very fortunate.
Right.
So I don't know. Like, honestly, this is one of the worst, craziest fucking weeks of my life. So I'm glad it's over, to be honest.
I'm not going to lie, but I think I'm speaking for every Minute fan where we hope, honestly, next week's worse for you.
Oh, great. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that.
I mean that sincerely.
All right, Chris, I appreciate it. Go, what is it? It's patreon.com/quantum_week.
That's right. But we have a free show coming out tomorrow. You don't need to be a Patreon member. You can just listen to it. Major League and a song by Madonna that you said you liked.
Yes, I like Madonna. I like Major League. Fly ball caught. I like it. I like Major League a lot, so I'll listen to that one. So don't worry about it.
Oh, I was very worried.
Yeah. All right. This is the wrap-up show from Justin and Cully. We will be back on Monday with a brand new Kirk Minahan show. This will come back, obviously, after it later in the day. And have a good weekend. We will talk to you then.